All right, looks like we are live. This is the Monday, December 18th, 2023 meeting of the Sustainable BC Committee. We're calling to order at 1:31 p.m. We will go around if you just could say your name and who you are relative to the committee or city. And where you're zooming in from. I'll just call on people and go around my screen. My name is Andy Humboldt. I'm a community volunteer and chair of the committee. Bob?
I'm Bob Gilbert, community volunteer, coming in from my office in Battle Creek, Michigan.
All right, thank you. I'm at my home in Battle Creek, Michigan, so I missed that part. Kiona?
Hi, I'm Kiona Ackley, community volunteer, joining virtually from my home in Battle Creek, Michigan.
Thank you. Janine?
Hi, Janine Reed. I'm joining you from my apartment downtown Battle Creek.
Thank you. Sarah?
Sarah Lundy, joining you from the Calhoun County Building in Marshall, Michigan.
All right, thank you. Roger?
Commissioner Ballard from his home in Battle Creek.
All right. That is Commissioner Roger Ballard. There he has a different name on the screen for folks keeping score at home, but that's him. I can verify. Kathy?
Kathy Antea, community volunteer, zooming from my home in Battle Creek.
Thank you. And the DPW room.
I'll start. Kurt Tribbett with the Department of Public Works Administration Building. Yeah, doing it from our office here on 150 Kendall.
Betsy Steers, environmental department, City of Battle Creek, DPW.
Patty Hoke Meluish, environmental department, DPW.
Chris Martin, urban planner at Battle Creek Unlimited. Gonna be a guest speaker today.
All right. Yeah, Chris, thank you very much for joining us. All right, going down the agenda, Bessie Sanao, thank you, Bessie, for doing the agenda here. Minutes, did you I don't recall, did you send minutes out, Bessie?
Yep, should have been with the agenda too.
Okay, that's what I thought. They were in the yeah, in the same email. I thought so. Oh yes, I looked at all these. They were fine, I thought. Anyone else have comment or questions about the minutes from October? Kathy?
I'm not 100% sure, but I thought I was at that meeting. And I didn't see my name on the list. Is that, I mean, because that was when Patty showed the little clip, right?
Yeah, you were there. Yep.
I am sorry, Kathy.
No worries. I would like to make a motion that we amend the minutes to record that slight mishap.
I motion to approve.
Yep. And I support.
All right, moved and supported to add Kathy as having been in attendance at the meeting. Kathy, was there an implied motion to accept the minutes then with that amendment?
Sorry, Andy, you had feedback when you were talking. I thought you had already got a motion. So okay, let me say I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended. Thank you.
Okay. So let's take this all as one motion. So it's been moved to approve the minutes with the addition of Kathy having been present. Those that supported, is that okay? All right, so supported by Kiona. All right, any other questions or comments about the minutes? All right, then, all those in favor of accepting those, of approving those minutes as amended, please say aye or wave, gesture, thumbs up, whatever works for you. All right, are there any opposed? All right then, unanimously approved the minutes from the October 23 meeting. Apparently if you wave your hands and go like this, Zoom automatically does like celebrations in the background. Did anyone else see that?
I wondered about that.
What? I can't make it do it again. What, does it only do it once? Like you get a prize for making gestures? I don't know what that was. All right, let me go back to the agenda. I believe the second item was turning it over to Chris. Yes.
You're familiar with sharing
Yeah.
screen and all that, okay. The green,
Actually, apparently I
green
don't
down
do
at the
that. There we
bottom,
go.
there you go, yeah.
I've been on Teams for a minute. So
I
it's a little bit.
know, it's not the same.
Okay, I'm seeing a slide presentation.
Yep, me too.
Oh, perfect.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I guess I already did a little introduction, but I'm Chris with Battle Creek Unlimited. I'm kind of a little bit of a background. I'm newer to the Battle Creek area. I started with BCU March of 2023, so wrapping up, coming up on a year pretty soon. I come with about 12 years planning experience in the Southwest Michigan area prior with the regional planning agency. But really passionate about recreation, rivers, and non-motorized access in particular. Excited to work, continue to work actually with the Battle Creek community. It's been a pleasure working with DPW, planning, the city, a wide range of other stakeholders that I'll elaborate, but really passionate about this project. So for those of you that are unfamiliar with this project, I'm going to be walking through kind of a wide range of topics about this, not only the history of the Kalamazoo River, some background on the project, some kind of our current status of where we're at, some goals we have, and then of course sections for Q&A. And this is going to be kind of somewhat informal too. So if you want to chime in on something, you don't have to necessarily wait in the end. But with that being said, for my birthday, actually, I got a really unique book about the Kalamazoo River history. So some of this is taken from that book that you might find in Barnes and Noble. So it's pretty helpful. But, you know, for those of you that aren't familiar, the Kalamazoo River is a result of two glacier globes, the Saginaw and the Michigan. The Kalamazoo River was formed approximately 14,000 years ago when these glaciers retreated. I should have made this some pop trivia, but it's the seventh longest river in Michigan, approximately 178 miles long, flowing west, comes out in the Saugatuck-Douglas area and begins in the Hillsdale and Jackson counties. It drains a large amount of square miles, 2,200 square miles in total, contains over 188 miles of tributaries and hundreds of inland lakes. Many ranging over 10 acres in size. And evidence suggests that the river has been utilized for over 10,000 years, predominantly with the Pokagon band of Potawatomis, as well as the Huron band. So, and of course, the name of the community, Battle Creek, ties into when we talk about that surrounding area, that's the watershed. And so we'll kind of go right here to kind of an overview map of the watershed. This map is brought to you by the Watershed Council. You can see that Battle Creek's about in the kind of almost in the dead middle of the watershed. It really has a big impact. It's the second largest community within the watershed, second to Kalamazoo. And it was a real lifeblood to this area, actually, for hydroelectric power, for trade, for commerce, for recreation, for fishing and foraging. And in present day, sections of this river are remarkably beautiful. I'm an avid kayaker. I've kayaked several segments of this river, not in the Battle Creek community yet, but I hope to. But just some really unique towns, communities that flow along this stretch. It binds together essentially East and West Michigan. And I'd be happy to share this presentation with anyone too interested in it. So just kind of a little bit of background on the project. For those of you that that know your history in the area, this is an image that was taken. It's for public record. It was at the library. The real turning point. There were some really key floods, about a century ago, and the most recently devastating one took place in 1947, just after World War II. This area in downtown, I'll show with a few older maps. The river was actually quite engineered even prior to the Army Corps' involvement. There are several sections of Mill Race that were flooded. There was 2 large storm events that took place in 1947, resulting in a freeze thaw that took place in the late winter, early spring, where you can see that the downtown business community and surrounding neighborhoods were devastated. The commerce stopped for over a week. There was kind of a declaration of emergency, which embarked on a federal flood control program, which the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers got involved with. There's some interesting legislation and documentation from this that I have a hard copy record for, but this flood led to a large, you could call it public works project that took place that forever altered the downtown area. As you look downtown, you see a large amount of residents and industry lining up closely. This area looks starkly different. You'll see. Within our scope of work too is also the Monroe Street Dam that was constructed in approximately 1892 for hydropower, and it is now a city-owned asset. But yes, as you can see, the river in the flooded areas, that's the treehouse facility, just as a reference point. Downtown. The river actually now is flowing right behind that structure. Prior to it was not there.
I'm having a hard time seeing where the channel was.
So the channel wasn't anywhere near where it is present day.
Okay.
And so that's why I kind of did this fun aerial here. So the one on the left is 1955, and then the other one is 2020. There are some changes that I'll show on a more updated slide to the modern aerial, like Kmart, but I don't know if I have a little clicker here. So just to give you a sense of bearing, this is where the interceptor is located, 194 downtown here. You can see that the Kalamazoo River, the historic channel, and Kurt and I were chatting about this. Somehow the city must have engineered it to run underneath most of downtown.
Yeah, there's like 3 different channels that went on.
They have a Mill Race here, which I think is more of the historic flow of where it was located originally. And the Battle Creek River is still quite similarly preserved to where it normally is, to give you a reference point. You have the downtown area. City Hall was, I think, actually relocated, but the City Hall area would have been downtown right here.
Yeah, that right now is where the WK Foundation.
Oh, yes. Yep. So I tried to line these up as best I could so it would be somewhat similar, but you can see a lot's changed since you can see the neighborhoods really backing up. There's a really significant historic school here that had one of the first African-American teachers in the county and also the city. It was a very diverse working class neighborhood that was located right downtown. But you can see that the river was even altered prior to the Corps. and there's a lot of development, not much flood mitigation areas put in place. And this dam that was put in place was not to control or reduce flooding. It was used for hydroelectric power, so it didn't help stop. And you can also see just the vast amount of water that was stored right up here. I was shocked by this. So if you look here, you can see that we do have a little bit upstream, but this whole neighborhood area was completely underwater. So yeah, these are archived on the city's GIS website for people that like to further investigate it. But I've been finding this kind of fascinating to see how the landscape has changed in over 50 years. And so if you look more present day, you can see how the river diversion is located and kind of, it now almost like separates a lot of the downtown area in a sense. So just kind of talking briefly about the background being, at the time it would be kind of considered state-of-the-art technology to bring in concrete to do a large earthworks project. Like I said, the flood took place in the 40s, but this project actually didn't get completed until the early 60s. So a lot of that was land acquisition, buying out rights, working with the Corps, getting federal dollars brought in. The state contributed money, the city, and also the foundation to this project. But that being said, the flooding was mitigated, but there was significant changes for wildlife habitats, fish habitats, also just the really heart of the historical communities known as the Bottoms were really displaced in this area. Hundreds of minority families and economically disadvantaged households were essentially bought out and had to be relocated, but without really too much assistance. I think there was some cash buyouts that took place. So the community is still affected by that. There's been some recent articles that I've read in the paper that talked about living residences, not only remembering the flood, but also losing that sense of community. Some of these people that have lived hundreds of years in these homes were since removed. And then when that flood mitigation took place, the neighborhoods weren't really brought back in. When that took place, it kind of slated the area for a highway system to be put in, large commercial and manufacturing areas to be expanded on. And this is kind of along the now what we call Dickman Highway, which was not located there prior to a large business loop. So from a walkable standpoint, it's now a 5-lane highway stretch. And so kind of fast forwarding to present day, you can see how this concrete channel and surrounding business districts have seen a lot of recent closings, such as Kmart, Econo Lodge, Horrocks got relocated. A lot of areas that were once vibrant and a really lifeblood of the community have since transitioned. And so our involvement at DCU and the cities is to help revitalize these blighted and underutilized areas. And so my goal of this project too is just to recognize what was here prior to that. And when we're talking about restoring the area, we also want to tie in history and culture and make it into a place where it's welcoming for everybody. So kind of fast forwarding to present day, that was the past. This is where we're at now. I started in, like I said, less than a year ago, but the U.S. Army Corps is wrapping up a 2-year hydrology modeling study. I think that started in 2021. So we should be getting some results from that study and a few different routes, some more refined cost estimates. In the past 2 years, Battle Creek Unlimited has also received approximately $13 million from the state of Michigan. Primarily that has been used for property acquisition for this project, which I'll show on a later slide of all the businesses that BCU has acquired to make this project actually feasible. They also hired their first urban planner in their 50 years of being an organization, myself. I started in March, like I stated. I partnered with the city and a wide range of other stakeholders. We applied for 3 grants this year. The biggest one was the Small and Disadvantaged Communities Army Corps grant. Special authorization 165 through WRDA, which is a very unique non-matching grant up to $10 million. Which sounds wonderful, but we're still wrapping our head around the full project cost of this revitalization project. So with that being said, we also applied for 2 subsequent grants, a DNR habitat restoration grant and an Eagle Dam reduction grant. We found out in these past 2 weeks, actually, that we applied for these grants preliminarily, and we found out we've been accepted to the final round. So we have an opportunity to complete those grants and submit them in the month of January, mid and end of January for those 2. And the goal, in my opinion, of applying for additional grant funding, primarily to do more feasibility study, public engagement, putting together renderings and visuals, and also getting updated pre-engineering costs, not only for what the Corps is doing, but for additional things such as dam removal, and culvert transition along Dickman Highway to a bridge structure. A lot of the dollars that the Corps was using for their modeling were from pre-COVID times, and so I want to make sure we are aware of our aware of the high and low end of a project of this size. The concrete channel is approximately 1 mile in length as well. So I threw out an acronym there, and I always like to de-acronym things as much as possible, but I did talk about WRDA, which we applied for that Small Communities grant. But WRDA is a Water Resources Development Act. Essentially, WRDA is the guiding legislation package that provides water development and resource-based projects through the Army Corps of Engineers, not only to conduct studies, but also to construct them. This takes place approximately every 2 years when the federal government's a well-oiled machine. Currently, they've been doing a lot of short-term spending gaps, but when you usually do a big ask, it's every 2 years. And so this is the funding that comes from the Fed and would go through the Army Corps. We are currently in the process. The city has been engaged with our federal legislative branch, and we're pushing for this authorization. We feel like we're going to be exceeding that 10 million mark. The cost actually to construct this channel, and it was almost approximately 7 million in the 1950s. So of course, we're not going to have to essentially do as much altering, because a lot of this area is in ownership of the city and BCU, so that helps lower a lot of the costs. But our goal is to seek funding like this to help to get as much federal dollars to this project as physically possible, and then from there we'll work our way back with seeking additional grant fundings to complete things. There's also several things we've discovered that the Army Corps will not fund, such as utility costs, removal of any type of sediment or contamination, and things of that nature. So we'll have to be seeking additional funding from that. But the Army Corps has included in their scope of work the dam removal as well, which is good. So just a kind of a background on a list of project partners. Of course, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, my organization, Battle Creek Unlimited, the City of Battle Creek, especially DPW and Planning and Parks, the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, the Fisheries Division, the Kalamazoo River Watershed Council, Michigan Department of Transportation, Michigan Department of Energy, Great Lakes and Environment, which is also known as EGLE, the Calhoun County of Community Development, and the Huron Band of Potawatomi. We also have legislative support from Senator Peters, U.S. Senator Stabenow, U.S. Representative Bill Huizenga, and Michigan Representative Jim Hazema. So just kind of an estimated timeline for this. We're hopefully wrapping up the hydrology study from the U.S. Army Corps. BCU has acquired or is in process of acquiring 60+ acres of the surrounding business area in the river restoration scope, which I'll show in a subsequent map. We've been applying for a lot of grant funding upcoming for this year. Like I stated, 2 of these grants are due in January, so we're going to continue to apply for grants. We're also going to be working. BCU is not a public agency. We're a 501c3, so we have the opportunity to lobby, and we will be doing that on the federal level and potentially the state again as well. And hopefully we'll be awarded those grants to do preliminary engineering, design, and pre-engineering, and also public engagement for the restoration project and dam removal this year. And then from there, we're really going to expand on. If we in fact get the WRDA, we'll have to build out this timeline, of course, beyond 2024. And I'm going to be touching on some of those goals a little later on in the presentation. So just to give you a sense of the scope of work, these areas highlighted, these, I guess, business areas highlighted, I guess you can do from starting from the east. We have the former Semco gasification facility. All the ones highlighted, we've at least done our baseline or our phase 1 environmental assessment. We use a local engineering firm, SME, for that. We also recently acquired this year the old Horrocks site, which used to be also a Sears downtown. The Kmart site, which is that green space land that has since been removed and essentially cleaned up for redevelopment. Also the former Econo Lodge and Pancake House, and there's an appliance manufacturer in there as well too. We've essentially funded for the demolishing and recycling of graphics packaging, which is kind of in the middle of those 2 yellow dots right there, and cleanup, which we're using about $10 million for restoring that site. A lot of long-term legacy pollution located within that facility. And that's a 10-acre site. The city owns that little section in blue there. That's what they're going to be able, I think that was a small business area. And then these shared parking lots used to be businesses at one time, but now they're parking lots. There's several rail spurs as well within this that we're in the process of trying to acquire. And then you also have Treehouse, which has been a wide range of other, it's been kind of a Purina dog food maker, I think, at one point. Now it's currently being used for warehouse storage, but we're not going to be renewing the tenant lease. BCU just acquired that just approximately about a year ago. And that's about a 13-acre complex with adjoining parking across the way. Then there's, of course, both public and private passenger and freight rail. You have Washington's Bridge and a skate park there. You have a large substation by consumers, and then it meets the divergence essentially right there with the Battle Creek River. So that being said, you can clearly see that there's some properties that BCU has acquired that are necessarily might not be in the direct floodplain, but are prone for this economic redevelopment and prosperity that we hope to all get from this project. So this is kind of a zoomed in version for those of you that are not as quite familiar with where the Monroe Street Dam is located. I heard our board president called it Battle Creek's waterfall, which made me kind of laugh a little bit. But it's a city-owned asset. Kirk wasn't quite sure when we became of this asset, right? Longer since he's been here, right? The city has maintained it. So the last documentation was Consumers Energy owned it, but in recent maps, it looks like it hasn't been used for hydroelectric power in the last 50+ years. When Dickman Road was put in just after that aerial map of the 1950s and 60s, these culverts were also placed in. There's 8 culverts in total that run under Business Loop 94. And so this area is actually also undergoing a study as well too. And so early next month, I'm going to be meeting with MDOT and DNR to talk about this project and put this on their radar as well. But you can see that the Semco site is located just The former Semco site is located just downstream of the dam, and so our goal is to safely remove this dam that's over 130 years old. So there wouldn't be a breach of the contamination that's kind of locked up within those soils, as well as providing much needed recreation and fish passage. So this is a photo I took of the 8 large culverts that run under Dickman. When you're driving over it, you really wouldn't even know, because it's kind of like an earthen bridge. And so most modern day bridges would not be constructed like this. This was constructed a lot before there was any type of consideration for fish habitat and passage. So, and if that dam is removed, these culverts could be proven to not really function as well as they were designed, because there would not be a large reservoir sitting on top. So yeah, we're going to be engaging the state on that project. This is kind of a closer shot of Monroe Street Dam as well, right from the top of the dam, and also just downstream looking up. The city has actually done a pretty good job of maintaining the dam, considering its age. It is deemed significant if it were to fail, but it's not in a critical state, which is a good thing for the community. But that being said, it is a long-term liability and asset that needs to be continually maintained on an annual basis. And so removing it can help save the city from a potential failure, or just continuing ongoing maintenance in the long run, and also providing a much needed recreational and fish passage habitat as well too. So some of the goals I have, as well as I believe the city and other stakeholders have, is to reconnect the river for not only habitat restoration, but also for recreational opportunities as well too. The dam removal would reconnect potentially 46 miles of the mainstream river and 13 major tributaries to the lower branch of the Kalamazoo watershed, which would connect multiple counties together. It would help with all types of invertebrates and fish. Certain communities have done fish ladders, which I grew up in the town of Buchanan, which had one of the first fish ladders actually in the state put in. Fish ladders were great for large fish, a lot of fish that are actually introduced for game or sport, but a lot of the smaller fish and invertebrates and other types of marine life cannot use fish ladders. So the best remediation is actually removal if possible, if it's not being utilized for hydroelectric power, of course. Another goal we have is for removing the concrete from the channel actually, and restoring it into a natural state. I'll show a few slides. A few of the people in the room, we got to tour a facility and see some before and after shots of what a restored river channel can look like. But I also want to go beyond just that natural river, but I also want to increase the recreational opportunities for the downtown area, such as a linear path, fishing and pier access, improving pedestrian access, connecting the downtown with business activity, helping spur economic growth, making people proud of their downtown again, and also providing mixed use development and workforce housing as well. And bringing back kind of some wrongs that were done in the past through I'm a planner, and some we want to try to rewrite some of our wrongs by promoting housing opportunities, and of course workforce housing, not just higher income, but workforce housing as well. With so many acres and parcels at play here, as seen from those maps, there's really a wide range of opportunities and potential to bring vibrancy and prosperity for the downtown area, as well as all of these designs will meet and exceed the flood capacity of the current concrete channel. Those are the standards that we have set for the engineering and for the core. So these shots are for some beautiful takeaways just of one park that was restored. This is a smaller creek, so our Kalamazoo River in my opinion, would be a much wider floodplain than this, but you can just get this as an example. This looked quite similar to our concrete channel system. And now they have a linear park with pedestrian access. This backed up to a Milwaukee County Park system. And it was just a nice way to see something that's currently in chain link fence to be open for the community to enjoy. So if people that would like to be engaged in this project or want more information, we're going to be putting together a website on our page and probably the cities with more information on this. But here's my contact info. This is a photo I took from Washington Street Bridge, looking upstream along that concrete river channel. So does anyone have any questions or comments?
Do the stop share.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can't there we go. There.
I just want to thank you guys as well. I also, on a side note, offered to be, I was kind of nominated, I guess, by Patty, but I filled out a form and I hope to be a part of this ongoing committee, I'm sorry, as well. So I also worked as an administrator for the Michigan's Great Southwest Sustainable Forum for over 6 years. That was subsequently absorbed into the West Michigan Sustainable Business Forum. But yeah, so very passionate about sustainability as well too. I'm also engaged and will work on a wide range of other projects for the area, but this has been my big one that brought me into this role. So
Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Any questions, comments?
that was a lot of data to go over. It was actually good timing because this is my first time actually putting it into a presentation mode, which was kind of a good self-reflection spot for where I've been and where I'd like to go.
Chris, this is Commissioner Ballard. I just wanted to say thank you. This was a really nice presentation and welcome to the community.
Thank you. Yeah, we appreciate your partnership, especially from the county side with Jen from your community development director. I've had many conversations with her.
Rogers with the city.
Oh, Rogers with the city. Oh, with the city. Yep. Okay. City. Sorry. I heard commissioner.
That's okay.
Yep. Well, with the city as well, too. I've been working with Ted and Darcy and Steve. It's been a great collaboration I've had with the city and subsequently with the county as well, too. As well as working with our DNR fisheries biologist. He's been wonderful to work with.
That's good to hear about the county because I didn't realize you had.
Yes. Yeah. So I used to work for a regional planning agency, like I said. So I worked in 3 counties, and especially watershed issues don't stop where your municipal boundary stops or recreational activities and from that manner. And the county has a really great water trail network put in together. And so connecting with them on access points and things like that was a big priority for them as well too.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. A couple of things. Yeah, the review committee that meets to do appointment to sort of pre-approve appointments and whatnot for all the city's boards and commissions met just the other day, last week, and was going to recommend you as a member to the commission. So you should be, once the commission has that on the agenda, I don't know if there's a meeting tomorrow. You should become an official member upon the vote of the commission. So welcome. We did have another. There'll be another new member coming on board as well. And we've got some renewals, so thank you for that. Chris, that's all great stuff. I have one suggestion for you for your slideshow. If you're going to find yourself, reflecting on this and doing this for other folks, I would make some kind of slide at the beginning that actually said, like, what is the project? Like, you keep referring, like throughout you kept referring to this project, And I knew what you were talking about because we're involved in this. And I don't know what you're talking about. But if someone didn't really know what you were doing, there's nothing at the beginning of the slideshow that says, hey, what we're aiming towards is, redoing the channel and the development.
Okay.
It wouldn't take much. Just something at the beginning that says, what we want to do is redevelop this. Now, let me tell you what that means, the history of it, and what it means, and what like. I thought that was all great. It's just that if someone didn't know at the beginning, they would. I imagine like, well, what's the project? Like he's telling me the history, but I don't know what the project is yet.
No, I think that's great. Thanks for that. Yeah, provide just a quick, essentially spoiler alert summary piece right in the beginning. Of
yes,
we're all on
exactly.
board.
Yes, you have to do the spoiler and then go into the details.
Yeah, maybe
and
I'll do a
then-
spoiler and a map just to give people a sense of the
Yeah.
geographic location we're talking about as well.
Oh, you would actually show the routing you're thinking?
Yeah, that's some great feedback, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for that feedback, Andy. I actually second that because I sat and listened to such a great and thorough and informative presentation, which I greatly appreciate. Great work on that, Chris. But that's what I continue to ask myself all throughout. Then we got there and I'm like, this is what he was linking up to. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I do have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
How has the local support been with moving this project forward? Have you been able to sustain any local grant dollars?
So I was brought in with state grant dollars, so I guess that's kind of local to get started off. I know the city has also contributed approximately 100,000 from the Corps' perspective. The local dollars we're seeking now are two state, so Eagle and DNR, and then one federal through WRDA. But that being said, I think what our goal is to find out our total project cost, potentially get special authorization from WRDA. But there will be a local match needed for that and several things that would not be included within the Corps. And so from there, then we will be seeking additional local dollars from foundations, whether that be Battle Creek, WK Kellogg, consumers, a wide range of any other foundations that people are aware of. I have a great resource that our DNR put us on together as well, with a wide range of a lot of great resources. There's also a trust, a Kalamazoo River Trust Fund, essentially from the Superfund site. This project is on there as well. They're going to be doing kind of like a call for projects on that next year, which would be local dollars. And so I talked with the administrator on that. So essentially, yes, we are going to be seeking a lot of local support dollars. And then what I kind of cued in too, beyond just the restoring of the natural river and path system, those goals are not going to be really included within the Army Corps' ask for WRDA. So the city is up to date with their parks plan. We'll be seeking Michigan Passport or Natural Resource Trust Fund opportunities to enhance universal design aspects in regards to pathways, piers, potential kayak launches, things like that. And then reaching out to developers for those mixed use housing development projects, or creating great amenities such as potentially a pharmacy or other types of stores that would really be needed downtown that are lacking within some of those mixed use developments. So yeah, we will be definitely looking for local support with that.
Wonderful. Thank you for that.
Chris, I have
Oh, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Just had a couple questions there. Is there any money from Enbridge that is left over or was in a trust fund or anything of that nature that you're aware of from the pollutant that they did? And then also, what do you see as a timetable as far as the removal of the cement and actually taking kayaks down there? Thank you.
Well, yeah, I asked the same question that you did when I started at the first one anyways. I think most of that 56 million has been spent down. To my knowledge, it has all been spent down and done its purpose for the community.
Clean,
There was
yeah.
there was a dam removal that actually took place approximately 9 years ago. The Ceresco Dam, I want to say, in 2013 that got completed. Bridges County Park, I think, was installed from that. There was enhancements made along that area, as well as a lot of river cleanup. I think it was actually done right up until this culvert channel or dam system. The dredging took place from the tar sand spill. But no, I don't think there's much left in that pot. I did actually reach out and touch base with the engineer that actually oversaw that project. And he's willing to give us a presentation on that to BCU and also city officials. So if that's an interest of you, I can get your contact info and make sure you're included in that. That's an opportunity I would like to kind of take advantage of to learn about what's happened so far in regards to the health of the river. Could you reiterate your second question again? I'm sorry.
Just your timetable thought pattern on when the cement would be removed and when we can start kayaking down there.
Oh yeah, all right, I like that. Go get our energy. Yeah, a lot of that's gonna tie back. So when we met with the Corps, when they came in person for like a site visit this summer, they're like, probably 10 to 15 years, as a scope. That's too long. That's a little too long for us at BCU. Our goal is to have, we're shooting for 7.
Okay.
But the real push is on this word to ask. Stabenow is not running for re-election. So we've been working, the city and us has been working with her on getting that language introduced. Gary Peters is aware of that, but Stabenow might want to see this as one of her little legacy going away initiatives. And we're having some bipartisan effort in the House as well too, with introducing it both in the House and the Senate. So if we can get that introduced in 2024, that would be great. If that doesn't happen, we'll have to wait 2 years to 2026. And so that could be some of the hurdles. My goal is to have as much dollars come in from the federal and state as possible, and then we'll have to fill in the gaps from there.
Okay.
So when we have that figured out, I'm going to put together a better kind of a time frame chart for that project. But things will definitely be in the works. And when we say the Corps will actually be doing this project for bid. They'll be overseeing it and doing the engineering, but they won't be the ones physically doing the work. So there will be an RFP involved and things like that. And hopefully there won't be the labor challenges that we're going through right now, and the inflation seems to be flattening out, which is good for project costs.
True. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Chris.
stay tuned, and I'll keep you abreast as things progress as well.
Okay.
Because we're getting old.
Yeah, my husband says because we're getting old. So
Right? Yeah. So, and there are other sections that are just quite remarkably beautiful along this river channel too. And so my goal is maybe we can talk about that sometime in the spring, getting out and doing a river cleanup or something to expose people to the beautiful segments that exist and talk about what we can do to them. So you don't have to wait that long to go paddling on the river. Don't worry.
Bob, did you have questions or comments?
I did, Andy. Thank you. Hi, Martin. Let me echo what everybody else said. That was a very informative presentation. Very well done. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I did have a question. That project area down there, I think you showed a map of it earlier where the Kmart used to be and the Econo Lodge and all that. That's a pretty concrete jungle down in that area. And,
Yes.
Along a riverway, there's a lot of non-permeable surfaces down there. I just wondered if, like in that DNR Habitat Restoration Grant or the WRDA grant, is there any money or plans in there to kind of green that area up? I know you talked a lot about commercial development, but right along that riverway, what would we do to protect that water from commercial and non-permeable runoff?
No, you bring up a great point. I have included language of like green infrastructure, but a lot of that's not really been ironed out more than just that term. Our goal is to work with DPW, because there are several storm drain inlets right there. There are ways of putting those storm drain inlets into some type of bioswale that would potentially filter it. It really depends on what the Corps decides, if they're bringing meanders back. But I agree. It would be nice to see some type of green infrastructure development even on those commercialized properties, or incorporating some of those practices in. Some of that scope of work, why Kmart and Horrocks was included was at one point they were considering actually realigning Dickman Highway prior to those businesses, being closed and available for bringing into that project scope. And so that was talked about too. I don't know if that's still in the works as of now. But no, I like what you're saying, because you don't want to have a large highway just simply draining everything right into that pristine river. So hopefully we can put up some type of catchment system that would at least allow a reduction of sediment pollutants
Yeah,
to
yeah.
take place.
I'd certainly be in favor of that, and I hope you can keep us posted on that type of work. This committee, that you're going to join here, that's kind of one of the focuses that we would have. So
Yeah, do you guys essentially? I was reading up, but do you guys work with the planning and zoning department on those types of?
We haven't
Goals?
Yes, we invite them to the meetings, but
Okay.
but we've not.
We usually have a presence here, but we haven't gotten a planning since Eric's left.
I know they've had a lot of recent
Yeah.
changes, and Darcy said they're hiring a new person in soon.
Okay, so maybe we'll try get them back on board again here.
But yeah, some of those things are good because, when reaching out for development, you do have a choice, although there hasn't really been much development in regards to affordable mixed use housing options. But I like where your head's at, because that would be a really good opportunity to kind of lead by example. And also you can develop green builds to help keep utility costs lower, to help bring that cost of renting and leasing down for fixed rate people. So those are some of the most increasing utility costs that are going on, that are pushing people out of housing options. So I like those ideas, Robert, and I'd be happy to kind of talk with you more about those as well. I've done a few projects like that at my old role, but not to this scale.
yeah, Martin, I would be into that too. So I like the way you're thinking as well. So if there's anything I can do to push this along or chat with you or something like that, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah, I'd welcome that.
Thank you.
All right.
Martin.
Yeah, thank you both. So we only have a little bit of time left to finish out our meetings, and there's a couple of things I want to make sure we mention before our time is up. So if we could move along and hit a couple of the other points on the agenda before we go, that would be great. We do the next thing on the agenda is the meeting schedule for next year. So I just want to make sure that we're on board with that. It looks like Patty and Bessie, that you looking at the dates at the bottom of the agenda, that you'd like to go switch to the with the last Monday. Is that what those dates are? The
Yes.
last Monday of even months.
Are we wrong on that?
No, it's last Mondays.
Last Monday? Okay.
Right.
Oh, we just switched this one this year because it was this month because it was Christmas. So we had.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, we
Yep.
have been doing.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that does December. So even months, the last Monday, December 3rd. We might get down to the end of the year and decide that December 30th is not desirable, or we may be like, yeah, that's fine. But I don't necessarily have a problem with any of these. These dates seem to work. So is there any objection or concern by the group to having the same time, 1:30? We'll plan Zoom. Maybe we'll end up trying to bring out in-person meetings again, but these just seem to work better when we raised the issue a couple months ago. But if there's no objection or concern, we can just plan on these, last Monday, 1:30. Does that sound good? I'm seeing nods. I'm not hearing any.
Yes, on my end.
Okay. All right then, let's plan on that. I don't know that we have to actually act on it. We're just advising anyway, so let's go ahead with that plan for the meeting. I do want to mention some members. I sort of mentioned this before. Chris is coming on board. Another gentleman by the name of Mike Wazinski is coming on board, at least on paper. I haven't spoken with Mike. Mike was recommended by former Commissioner Blood a few months back, and it was approved by the review board. A couple of myself and Frank. I did hear from Frank. Frank had a conflict today, but he's going to continue to participate. I think Kathy was on the list. Kathy's just discerning that. But it appears as though Janine and Sarah are their terms are up or they're stepping down. So I want to make sure that we express a thank you to Janine for, hey, there we go again. There's the celebrations. Apparently I had to take a break and rest.
That was appropriate.
So thank you, Janine, for coming on board with us for a while. And Sarah, you've been with us for a long time. So are you still going to be at your position there at the county, Sarah?
Yes, but we anticipate, any day now we should be getting word from Eagle's director to make a new county plan. And that is going to be my focus, I think, in the next year or two.
You'll be consumed with that. And
yeah.
You're always as a other, local government stakeholder, you're always welcome at the meeting. Even if you're not an official member, you're always welcome at these meetings, to let us know what's going on at the county, or just to touch base. And if you need any of our help with that work coming up, don't hesitate to reach out.
I will.
All right, so thank you to Sarah and Janine. We've got our dates. I do want to make sure we have a time for public comments. Is there any comments or question from the public? Eric, do we have any folks online wanting to comment or ask questions?
We don't have anyone in the waiting room right now.
Okay, thank you very much then. All right, so Patty and Bessie, is there anything from your list of updates or whatnot that needs that you like? Yeah, we have to mention this.
I think the major thing would be the sustainability plan updates, but we can,
Yeah.
I'll let Andy take that. So.
Yeah, so Patty and I have been talking about the updating the plan for the year. We've met a couple times. Patty and I met with Rebecca once a couple weeks ago. And we're running out of time, but just that process is ongoing, and we are going to devote the February meeting to discussing what's going on with the plan and how we want to move forward updating the plan. And that times out nicely with things that are happening at the commission and city manager level. So stay tuned on that. That will be the main focus of our attention for the February meeting.
Do we have a second for Kurt to just mention the forestry project too?
Yeah. If there's stuff.
Yeah, and I'll be real quick, but I just wanted to know it has started. We have a forester out there, Baltimore Logging, and they are out at Jackson Street between 20th and Stringham. They're going right at it. They paid us for the trees already. That's been paid. We'll take a good portion of that money and put it back. We're working currently on a grant to replace and plant a lot of the trees to try to combat the vases that are out there, and to also remove the trash that's accumulated out there too. So in a nutshell, that's what's going on. I can probably talk more about it in February.
Okay. But yeah, just so we're clear, so the revenue generated from that is going right back into the forestry plan itself to.
Yes.
fund very, new plannings and whatnot.
And other
All right.
environmental
And
stuff.
other environmental.
Right, sure, right. Okay, yeah, if you have other detailed things you wanna just email out to the group, Patty, that would be great. And folks can always ask questions via email. Is there any other commission or committee member comment, questions, announcements? Kathy?
Just FYI, I really had something I want to talk about a little bit about the river deconstruction, reconstruction work, but I'll send it via email because I see we're at 2:32. So
Yeah.
thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, that'd be great if you could do that. And I'm sure, like we said, that's not the pace of that's going to be pretty slow. So there will be plenty of time for question and discussion around the topic of that river redevelopment. Bob?
I was just gonna say, Kathy, I'd like to see what your comments are. So I don't know if I'd get them or not, but let me see. I'd like to know.
All right, thank you both.
Thank
And
you
anyone
all.
else?
I have another commitment, Andy. I was on my lunch break, so I have to hop off.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yep, thank you. All right, anybody else? Alrighty then, seeing no other comments or questions, thank you all for your service to the people in the land of the Battle Creek area. And we will adjourn at 2:33 p.m.
Thank you, Andy. Well done.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks.
Happy holidays.